Hey, it's Colleen from Enhanced Learning Skills for Kids. The top number 3 question that was asked of me for this summer ADHD program is, how does the program work? What exactly is required of us if we want to go into the program and have my child participate? So the answer to that question is we are going to be providing an intensive, and I'll tell you why it's intensive in a minute, an intensive 12-week program. And what that entails is you will have a digital, well, you won't really have a digital copy, but what you'll have is an access to the Atengo program. So you can just work directly at home on your computer. You'll basically just have to go to a URL, log in, and start working. But what's happening behind the scenes is that I'm able to monitor your child's progress. I'll know where each of the students in the program are. I'll be able to tell if they're stuck, what's going on, and what level everybody's at. And if there's any kind of trouble there, I can intervene myself, or I'll just at least know where your students are, where your child is when we actually meet weekly. So the goal is to have us meet once a week for 12 weeks. Your goal is to have your child work at least, at a minimum, 3 times a week, 25 minutes. And what we've been doing, I'm trying to get my daughter to do this before we go into test mode with the community, is just given our crazy schedule, what we've been doing is having her do a little bit, like start it, because what you'll find when you go through the programs, there's usually about like 6 levels or so that the child can work through. And if your child gets through like level 1 at 90%, they'll just jump to level 2. So it can keep going. It's not timed that we've found yet where it's going to cut off at 25 minutes and say, you've done your work for today. So you have to monitor that. We'll help you do that, and we'll coordinate all of that to make it easier for you, giving you some strategies. But what we found to do is you can go through a game and then you can just come back to it later. So if you're a little crazy with your scheduling, you could either do something for kids that are still in school. You can do a little before you go to school, a little bit after school. You can wait till all in the evening. You can just sort of break it up. For kids that are out of school already, then that's sort of easy, right? So you can make your own schedule and do what you need to do around summer camps and things like that. It's not really that labor intensive for these exercises. It's really just sitting down and putting the time in. And as the kids put the time in, they're strengthening their ability, with some of these cognitive skill sets that we're looking at to see changes in, and especially around the attention cognitive skills, we want to see if there's any changes there. So your goal is to do it 3 times a week for 25 minutes, and then weekly we'll get together. You don't have to be there live, but it's an opportunity to speak with me live and ask me questions and get immediate feedback. You will also have access to the replay, so if you can't be there, you can just listen to it. And then we'll be trying to post, we'll have an available space like on my site that you'll be directed to just for our program. So you'll probably have like a password kind of a thing. I'm not really sure how that's going to flow just yet. It really depends on how many people sign up. But we'll have an area so that after each of the programs, you'll be able to post questions and I'll reply to give you some answers in between our weekly calls. And then on the weekly calls, I'll be there to answer any questions that you have, make recommendations, provide additional strategies. And in between all of that, we'll just keep our communication going and awareness going around ADHD and around brain training, so that you're more empowered as the caretaker, the main provider of the child in a sense, and by the end of the program. So you'll know that you have more options, what those options are, and then at the end of the program, each child will receive a certificate for completion. They'll also get their next step documentation, which really is going to be a summary of your child's progress. And if we didn't already speak about it on the calls, we will be providing you with what, based upon your child's progress, next steps, what are the recommendations that you should look at. And reason why we're doing that is because as we go through the program, like we explained in the other videos, is let's just say if we start going through all of this and we recognize through the cognitive assessments that we're taking that your child has very, very low auditory processing per se, which is one of the easiest ways to get confused with ADHD. Is if your child has like an auditory processing disorder, they look just like an ADHD child, but there are still some 2 or 3 things that are going to be your guiding light as to whether or not you definitely have ADHD for your child, which is usually difficulty maintaining friendships. You have the impulsivity factor in there, you have aggressiveness in there, and some other things. But the common things you think of, right, for ADHD is all the same for auditory processing as well. So if we go through our assessment and we see that your child is very, very low in auditory processing, well, we're obviously going to look to see what the changes are for any kind of auditory throughout the program, but then we will most likely make a next step recommendation in that area. The other area where your child can have an overlap for ADHD is if your child has any kind of sleep disorder, which you may not be aware of. And, so just getting to know you and building that relationship and asking questions and talking with you, we'll find out things like, how does your child sleep? Is your child sleeping throughout the night? Is there difficulty there? Is your child waking up constantly throughout the night? Just different things like that, where we can always make that next step recommendation for you and what you should be looking for in your reports and stuff, just to rule things out and make sure that you are on the right track with your child, because our end goal is to help you and your child be successful. And where we can, we are obviously going to be trying to have end goals of strengthening cognitive skills and lessening, if not rehabilitating, that ADHD. So I still think it may be a big stretch for us to make any type of guarantee, obviously, that we're going to rehabilitate everybody from ADHD. I'm looking more at just making changes with ADHD. So I've worked with kids before in ADHD where we've been able to take children off of medication and work through programs, and do fine to the point that the child either doesn't go back on medication or they're on a much, much lower dosage of medication. So I feel more comfortable around that, really, to let you know until we get through this program together and we can see what the possibilities are. So I hope this answers your questions, and just keep looking for more videos to be posted. Until then, if you have not already registered, I recommend you do so, because we are running close to the end of the payment, the installations that you have, payment installation option. And we also will then be looking for a one-time payment per my team, right, for the $339. So you won't be able to sort of space it out anymore. So if budget's an issue, take advantage of that payment plan now while you can. And then after that, once you purchase, we'll go right into our coordinating mode here and making sure that you're set up with your license and you have everything you need along the way until we're ready to kick off for your program. And then after that, you'll be well taken care of. So any more questions, keep them coming, and I will do my best to answer them promptly. Thanks so much. Until next time. Bye.